po si Atty. Liza Isma Osorio, Legal and Policy Director ng Oceana Philippines.
Ano po yung pinamanawagan nyo ngayon?
Panawagan namin ay pigilan yung mga reclamation projects na nasa Manila Bay at saka yung mga ECC na na-issue nila sa 22 projects na sinasabi ay i-revoke kasi alam naman natin na maraming hindi nasunod sa ating mga batas dito sa proseso sa pagkuha nila ng ECC at saka malaki yung malaki yung mga kasi masisira na ating mga resources nandyan. Sinabi nga kanina na parang irreversible yung damage sa ating resources. Buhay pa talaga ang Manila Bay. Yung sinasabi nilang patay na ang Manila Bay, hindi po totoo yun. Manila Bay is biologically alive. And nakita natin may mga isda pa dyan, may mga sardinas, meron pang mga resources na pwedeng pagkuhanan ng kabuhayan ng ating mga lokal na mga mangingisda at mga komunidad dyan sa Manila Bay.
Para po sa ating mga manonood, pwede po mag-describe ano po ang nangyayari sa Manila Bay ngayon?
Mapo. So sa Manila Bay po, nakakalungkot po dahil ngayon meron tayong 11 na projects na sinasabing binigyan na ng notice to proceed ng PRA. So meaning to say, pinapahintulutan na ito magsimula, may iba na nga na nagsisimula na, ongoing na yung reclamation works. So yung 11 na yon meron ng notice to proceed. Merong ang half pa nun ay meron pang nasa proseso pa ng pag-a-approve ng kanilang application. So mangyayari siguro kung mapapabilis nila yung proseso nila, magkakaroon tayo ng 22 projects dyan sa Manila Bay. So malaki po ang magiging epekto nito sa ating mga resources dyan.
Gaano po kalawak itong sinasabi ninyo upcoming projects?
Yung iba't iba po yung sizes ng projects nila. So, mayroong isang project sa Cavite na as big as 850 hectares. Meron pong 50 hectares lang. So, hektarya po yung pinag-uusapan natin. So, kung ikukwenta natin yung lahat na ito, kung idadagdag natin lahat ng ito, it would mean like mga siguro mahigit kumulang mga 5,000 hectares ang matatabunan dyan sa Manila Bay kung ipapagpatuloy ito.
Ang pinatarget lang po, ang kinukomplain nyo ngayon is focus po kayo sa Manila Bay only?
Hindi po. Actually, nagpo-focus din kami sa Cebu area, which is also where marami pong mga reclamation projects din nangyayari. In fact, doon, nagkaroon na kami ng Save Cebu movement na composed of iba't ibang organisasyon at mga academic institutions sa Cebu. So, makita natin na ang mga tao talaga ay unti-unti nang nagigising sa katotohanan na hindi to nakakabuti sa kanila. Hindi to nakakabuti sa ating bansa din. Kasi mismo, even in Cebu, kahit ang mga business sector na rin ang dumudulog sa amin para magpatulong upang ipaharang ang mga proyektong ito.
Ma'am, as a lawyer, alam niyo po, NGO, pwede kayo mag-file ng kaso.
Opo.
Meron po ba kayong ipinail na kaso sa DENR at saka sa PRA, Philippine Reclamation Authority? Sa
pagkagayon po, yung na-file namin na kaso dati, yung sa writ of kalikasan po, na nag-file kami doon noong 2020. Since ito po ay na-file namin dito sa Bulacan against DNR, yun ang kasong iyon. Kaso po, natalo po, inisbis ng Supreme Court yung aming petition for a writ of kalikasan noong 2021. So unfortunately po, natalo doon at hindi kami dininig ng Supreme Court kahit na marami kaming talagang ebidensyang dinulog sa kanila.
Magkano daw po ano daw po ang dahilan?
Sabi nila premature daw kasi po parang nung time na yon hindi pa yung mere signing ng agreement between the proponent, the private sector, and the government does not show na may damage na po. Pero pinakita naman namin na, sabi nga kanina ng ating mga friends from Wild Bird Club, hindi pa nagsisimula yung projects nila, pinutol na nila yung mangroves, pinutol na nila at sinisimulan na nila yung mga preparatory works. And yun po ay mismong sinabi namin na meron ng damage talaga. Pero yun nga po, hindi natin ma-question kasi sila nga yung highest court, di ba? At sila, yun yung naging desisyon nila. At nakita naman natin na yung mga succeeding mga mga actions nila na after na-dismiss yung petition namin, tsaka palang nagbigay ng ECC yung DNR. So tapos yung parang natapos na yung ginawa nila at saka palang sila pinahintulutan ng bigyan ng environmental compliance certificate. Yun nga, hindi natin makasyan, sabi nga ang desisyon ng Supreme Court. So yung ginagawa po namin is nag-uusap-usap din kami ngayon. Hindi pa namin tinatapos yung aming mga legal na mga remedyo kasi marami pa nang pwedeng gawin. So ngayon po, base sa datos na nakuha namin sa PRA, kine-question na namin ang DNR. Ano yung basehan nila sa pag-issue ng ECC? Tapos so nag-administrative pa kami, nag-letter writing pa lang kami. So hindi pa kami sinasagot nila.
Naipadala niyo na po yung sulat?
Naipadala na namin po yung sulat last year, mga October. Tapos sinabi lang, natanggap nila yung sulat, tapos wala pang substantial na sagot sa aming mga tanong.
Ma'am, pwede niyo po i-describe ano po ang kaibahan sa Manila Bay sa ngayon compared po sa mga nakalipas sa mga taon nung ito'y kung matatawag na virgin pa?
Oo, Manila Bay actually, kung makita natin ang pangalan ng Manila Bay ay galing sa term Maynilad. Ito po ay isang species ng mangroves, yung nilad. So makita natin nung panahon talaga maraming mangroves dyan sa Manila Bay. Kaya nga very productive na area siya. 'Di ba? So marami ding mga tao na nagdirectly na nakikinabang sa mga isda, sa mga resources diyan. Kaso nga over the years nakita natin talagang napuputol, nawawala na yung mga mangroves. Halos 'di ba, makikita mo mangroves na saan na lang. Wala na talaga, of course, diyan sa Manila. Ito kasi mangroves, tama yan, pangitlugan to ng mga isda. Kung wala siya kasi walang nursery, walang bahay yung mga maliliit na mga isda natin. So
then compare previous years or decades, how many tons of fish po ang nakuha sa ngayon ma'am compare dati? Anong kaibahan?
Of course, wala po tayong masyadong datos pang ganyan. Kasi ngayon, yung BFAR, sinabi lang nila marami silang nakitang fish larvae, fish eggs na yung nagsisimula yung doon sa Manila Bay mismo, parang sa pusod ng Manila Bay. I think nagfi-fish stock assessment ang BFAR ngayon kasi meron tayong tinatawag na fisheries management areas na kailangan natin ma-determine ilan naman lang ang naiiwan na isda natin dyan para magkakaroon tayo ng management measures. So nasa proseso pa po sila ngayon sa pag-gather ng datos na yun. So, sa ngayon, hindi ko masagot directly yan. Si BFAR lang ang makakasagot dyan sa tanong na yan.
Bilang NGO ma'am, at sa batas, meron po tayong tinatawag ng all access. Ngayon, sumulat na po kayo sa DNR at sa PRA. Sumulat na rin ba kayo sa Malacanang?
Actually po, nung previous administration po, sumulat na po kami doon sa kanila. At sinabi namin, pinisinta na natin yung problemang ito. Kaso pa, yun nga, I think medyo masalimuot ito kasi the PRA is under the Office of the President. Diba? So sila mismo ang nag-a-approve, nagko-control. Kasi nung time na yon parang binalik sa Office of the President ang pag-a-approve ang PRA. So, yung kontrolado talaga ng Office of the President yung lahat ng proseso. So, yung magawa lang talaga namin is mag-request ng freedom of information, yung hihingi ng mga datos, ano na ba, tapos pag meron kami mga meetings, ini-invite namin sila, tapos tinatanong namin, especially sa mga illegal reclamations, kasi marami din talagang naka-record sa kanilang illegal reclamation. So, tinatanong namin, ano bang ginagawa ninyo? So, parang sabi nila, kasi wala kaming authority daw, wala silang power daw to do something about it. Dapat daw ang mga tao na ang magreklamo. So, parang pinapasa nila yung accountability doon sa mga tao. Pero sabi namin, dapat kayo kasi parang kayo mismo ang ahensya na in charge ng reclamation sa ating bansa. So, yun po yung parati naming yung pina-exchange namin with them na information. Although open naman talaga sila pag naghihingi kami ng information. Pero parang ang reaction nila is parang, eto na, wala kami magawa kasi hindi kami yung ultimate na magdidesisyon nito. Tapos sinasabi namin, pwede ba ninyo i-revoke yung mga permits and licenses ninyo? So, wala pa to talagang nangyayaring ganon. Yung nangyayari is yung fino-forfeit nila pag illegal ang reclamation. So, isang example yung sa Coron, di ba? Na-revoke ang ECC, so fino-forfeit nila in favor of the government. Pero, it's too late. Sira na yung area.
Ma'am, in behalf of the people around Manila Bay at saka sa mga malakaya o mga mangingisda, do you have any panawagan kay President BBM at saka sa DNR at sa Philippine Reclamation Authority?
Yes, ang panawagan ko, tigilan na natin. Tigilan na natin ang pagsisira ng ating Manila Bay. Kasi ang Manila Bay ay importante sa ating lahat. Bilang Pilipino, tayo ay sanang bigyan natin ng kahalagahan ang Manila Bay as part of our history, parte ng ating kultura. At ito, malaking bagay ito sa ating mga kalusugan ng ating resources. So, kung hindi natin to pangalagaan, wala. It might be too late. Wala na tayong may iwan sa mga future generations. So, sa presidente bilang head at under sa kanya yung office ng Philippine Reclamation Authority, it's time to, review the actions being done by the agency, especially in unwarranted approvals of these projects without even looking closely into whether these projects have complied completely, fully with our environmental laws. For the DNR, isa lang panawagan namin, i-revoke lahat ng ECCs na in-issue nila. Kasi yung malakas naman ang ebidensya po na maraming nilabag na proseso, maraming nilabag na batas sa kanilang pag-i-issue. So, they should revisit, they should review the issuances that they have, and sana hold accountable those responsible for issuing the ECC without even following strictly our environmental laws. Yun lang po.
Save Manila Bay!
No to reclamation!
Save Manila Bay!
No to reclamation!
No to reclamation!
Save Manila Bay!
Yes po, yun nga mahirap po kasi lahat na ng levels ng laban, no? Binulog na namin sa Supreme Court, natalo tayo. Pero hindi pa rin tapos yung ginagawa namin. Lately, yung ginawa namin is sumulat kami ng parang letter interrogatories sa DNR, ANP. Nag-a-ask kami ng copies ng environmental impact assessment documents, yung basehan nila sa pag-issue ng ECC dyan sa 22 projects na sinasabi may ECC na. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa kami sinasagot. Ay, sinagot lang kami na natanggap nila yung sulat at ni-refer kami sa EMB. And nag-aantay lang kami. Pag hindi pa nila sasagutin, yung next na hakbang namin ay pinag-uusapan na namin po. Pero, syempre, legal to na hakbang, of course. Gagamitin namin kung whatever legal remedies that we have. Pwede naman, marami naman tayong pwedeng basihan. Pag-usapan namin to with other organizations. Actually, nag-uusap na rin kami with other organizations.
Sir, sasagot pa si Kapag-Doa.
Sige.
Related section.
Magandang tanong yun eh, kasi tama po yun, no? Yung ginagawa nila talaga, napakaraming batas na nilalabag. Ang problema nga, sila yung nagpapatupad ng batas, sila yung lumalabag. Kaya parang napakahirap, no? Sa isang sitwasyon. Pero tayo ay naniniwala na walang mataas sa batas. Ikaw man ay nasa gobyerno, nasa posisyon. Kung ikaw ay naglabag ng batas, dapat kang managot sa batas. Paano paraan natin sila mapapanagot? Ang isang paraan siguro dyan, kung wala tayong maasahan sa gobyerno, magkaisa tayo, magkampanya, magsama-sama para ilandad ang mga mali na mga patakaran o one-sided na mga programa at polisiya na sila yung nagkikinabang sa taong bayan, no? Sa kalsada natin dalhin ang laban. Sa mamamayang Pilipino natin dalhin ang laban. Naniniwala pa rin kami ang pamamalakayang Pilipinas na ang kapangyarihan at magtatakda ng tama para maayos ang isang sistema ng lipunan ay yung mamamayang Pilipino.
Okay, isang tanong pa para mula sa akin. 22 reclamation project along Manila Bay. 11 ay underway na. So, ano ang status nung kalahati? At saka, ano rin yung status nung underway na siya na kinokontra ng grupo ninyo?
Yung kalahati po, may application na sila with MOU. Yung sinasabi naming underway, meron na silang notice to proceed. So, pwede na silang magsimula. Ang iba nagsisimula na, nakikita na naman, di ba? So, yun, yung ginagawa namin, ano second tanong?
Yung dun sa mga application pala.
Yung
Anong status?
ang status ng application, yun lang po, nakikita natin na I think nasa proseso pa sila sa pagkukuha ng ECC. Kaya hindi pa sila nag-proceed. Hindi pa nila nakukumpleto yung lahat ng dokumento na kailangan nila. Ayun naman parati ang sinasagot ng PRA sa atin. Na hindi pa kumpleto, kaya hindi pa sila binibigyan ng notice to proceed.
I think, dagdag siguro Lisa, yung ano ba yung pwedeng gawin sa local government?
Ayun. Yung sa local government po, yung tinitingnan nga natin yung responsibilidad ng LGUs. Yung Oceana po, we were able to get the DILG policy, Memorandum Circular 2022-018, na seeking for like accountability ng local government units sa proseso ng pagkuha ng ECC. Kailangan ang LGU mismo ay mag-ensure na merong tamang proseso, may tamang konsultasyon. Hindi sila basta-basta mag-i-issue ngayon ng letter of no objection kasi nakita natin ito yung mahilig na practice ng mga proponent. Dudulog lang sila sa leader ng mga LGUs, kukuha ng lono, tinatawag. Hindi na sila pwedeng basta-basta kasi pag binigay nila yon without the full EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment, magkakaroon sila ng accountability. Kasi sabi ng memorandum ng DILG, magkakaroon sila ng administrative, civil, and possible criminal cases kung gagawin nila yon. So, marami po, mas stricter na po yung tinatawag natin parang role and responsibility ng ating mga LGUs when it comes to reclamation projects at saka ibang development projects na dapat titingnan natin ng mas maigi. So kami sa Oceana at mga ibang grupo, tinitingnan namin to through a citizen scorecard that we develop. Kasi ito pa yung nag-guide sa atin. Tinignan namin ano yung kailangan sundan nila para magkaroon ng proper environmental impact assessment talaga ng mga proyektong ito. At kung hindi ito nasunod, pwede ito magresulta ng possible legal actions against them.
Consolation.
So yung ginawa po namin to sa Consolation Cebu kasi aside from Manila Bay pala, ang isa sa mga ground zero for reclamation project is Metro Cebu. So sa Consolation po, sama-sama yung mga civil society at academe doon, tiningnan namin maigi yung proseso nila sa environmental impact assessment. At because of that, binasa namin yung EIA, sumali kami sa public consultation process at nakita doon at sinabi ng DNR na yung proponent, hindi nila na-follow, hindi nila nasagot yung mga tanong ng mga civil society at other groups sa ating mga tanong on the EIA document nila. Kaya pinabalik sila sa step 1. So meaning, that was really a good example of how yung sama-sama tayo sinasabi ni Kapando, yung mga iba't ibang grupo na talagang titingin, susuriin ang mga each of these projects. Kasi konti na lang di ba? From 187, ngayon 52. Pwede na natin tingnan isa-isa. Tingnan natin, suriin natin kung nag-follow or hindi. At anong gagawin natin kung hindi, di ba? So I think this is a lesson for us all na meron pang pag-asa, meron pa tayong pwedeng gawin.
John? Si John muna Kapando. And then
I just want to
I
just want to quickly share our experience sa Pasay because of the 360-hectare reclamation of the SM, Schumer NIC. In 2009 or 2010, yung Pasay, sanghayan dyan sa reclamation na yun. May isang bayani dun sa buong Pasay government na nasa board ng Pasay government siyang lumalaban kasi sabi niya talagang binabayaran daw yung mga local governments. Yun ang original sin eh. Yung local government babayaran ng private sector kung sino may gusto mag-reclaim para ma-approve. So this poor guy was fighting all of City Hall by himself. Of course, he was overruled. That I just wanted to bring that up. By the way, Tony Yula Loizaga was with us fighting the reclamation, the 360-hectare reclamation. Kaya lang ngayon siya na yung secretary. So, ewan kung paano nangyayari. Si Dr. Kelvin, meron natang gustong idagdag dun sa kanya, very important na kailangan niya ito.
And then, sikapan doon ulit.
Sa tingin ko po, parang done deal na yung reclamation. We can see it's happening. I just want to warn anybody who wants to buy property or build a reclaimed land to first try and see if they can get disaster and damage insurance. If you cannot get damage or disaster insurance, that is telling you something. Kasi po yung mga insurer, mga sigurista, hindi po if the danger was minimal, they will be willing to risk covering you. If the danger is certain, they are, mga sigurista nga sila, they will not give you insurance. If you cannot get insurance, let that be a warning to you. Don't be stupid. Don't invest on reclaimed land unless you can be sure that you have the backing of insurance. Otherwise, you are throwing your money away and you are risking your life. Sinasabi ko nga sa mga proponents ng reclamation, I'm very old and I will probably die before the 7.2 comes. But if you persist in building and people die, maniwala po kayo, dadalo ako sa mga pagmugot nyo.
Thank you. Okay, may wala nang dagdag sikapan to. Meron po mong tanong? Okay. Yan.
Good morning po. Jane Bautista from Inquirer. Kay Ma'am Mia Cadenza and kay Sir Fernando po. Last I've heard, nagkaroon po ng discussion with VFAR sa Cavite para mapag-usapan yung gagawin. So ano po yung intervention ng LGU sa mga apektado ng dredging po?
Sa ngayon po, wala pa po. Kasi medyo kasi sila po ma'am kasi matagal na kami nag-ano ng issue na yan. Pero until now po, wala pa po silang naitutulong sa amin.
Sasagot si Aris. May dagdag pa. Wala. Sikapan.
Nang sa tanong na after nung dialogue sa BIPAR ng 24, no? Ang isa nating nakuha doon na positibo, no? Mismo galing sa BIPAR director na sila ay hindi nakonsulta sa pagbigay ng AIA dyan sa seabed dredging, no? Ibig sabihin, doon pa lang sa proseso ay hindi na sila kinonsulta. Bakit na-issue ng ECC, no? Yung Environmental Compliance Certificate. Kaya maaari, ito yung natin, no? Pinimpanghawakan para doon sa pag-file, no? For revocation ng ECC doon sa seabed dredging. Actually, mula ng 24, ang update ngayon, yung mga barko na nag-dredge, dati sa gilid na yan malapit na yan dito sa coastal area ng Rosario, Noveleta. Ngayon, lumayo. Nandun na sa may, sa may Naik. Mula ng 24, doon sa statement ni BIPAR Director na hindi sila na-consult, medyo lumayo na. Kaya isa yun, no? Sa tinitingnan natin maging basis for holding on filing on revocation of ICC of the seabed dredging sa Manila Bay.
Made their preservation more urgent.
And so we are here, SOS, Save Our Shores, and it's no accident that our name is also the international abbreviation for distress, because this is a call for distress, yes. And we are here, and we have come together with Oceana, Pamalakaya, our scientists led by Dr. Kelvin Rodolfo, to sound the clarion call for help. Because reclamation, while it sounds like a good developmental idea, may not be as sound as we think. Marami na po tayong nalalaman ngayon. Because it further affects what is already a dwindling source of food for all of us, Filipinos. Because of global warming, sea level rise, sinking lands due to groundwater withdrawal, reclamation exacerbates this situation. So you can imagine the effect of 22 projects in Manila Bay for reclamation and 30 more all over the rest of the country. Alam nyo, there is still time to rethink reclamation in the face of facts. And these have been presented very ably by our partners here, from the bird watchers to Dr. Kelvin. Alam nyo, kabit-kabit ang ating mga ilog, dagat, isla, at pamumuhay. Buhay. Kabit-kabit ang ating mga buhay. Maraming di pa nakakaramdam siguro nito ng mga epekto ng nalalapit na reclamations. Pero darating ang araw na lahat tayo ay magiging apektado pagkat kabit-kabit ang ating mga bituka. Yun ang gusto namin sabihin. So, hanapin po natin ang what common causes we have, what common good we can find from all stakeholders, the business sector, common tao, ang ating mga mangingisda. Lahat po tayo meron sigurong things we hold dear and things that are precious to us. And if we act on those, connected values, I think we will find a sound answer. Thank you.
Salamat, Emily. Kami po sa Oceana, sa pamamagitan ni Atty. Lisa Osorio, ay may gustong iyapak, no? Na ilang mga aksyon at remedyo, recommendations, interventions para sa ating lahat na gusto namin malaman ng mga tao.
Hello. Magandang umaga po. Yes, so on behalf of Oceana, I'd like to present yung ano nang nagawa at ano ang gagawin pa moving forward so that we can intervene in what's happening in Manila Bay. So, next slide please. So, I will be, as we all know, bakit Oceana ay nakikialam dito. Alam naman natin, mahalaga ang Pilipinas dahil nasa gitna tayo, nasa center to center of marine biodiversity. Ang Oceana po is the largest organization in the world to focus on ocean conservation. In the Philippines, we have several campaigns. We campaign against plastics, we campaign against illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing or IUU fishing. We campaign for the establishment of well-managed fishing grounds through our fisheries management areas. We have also a restoration of mangroves campaign, habitat protection campaign, and of course, our deter illegal dump and fill. We call it dump and fill, hindi reclamation po. Kasi actually ang nangyayari, hindi tayo nag-reclaim, but we're actually dumping and filling in materials to our oceans and our coastal areas. Next slide, please. So, next slide. So, ito po yung magandang tanawin natin. Kaso nga lang po, nasisira ito ngayon dahil sa mga proyektong pinag-iisipan at nangyayari sa buong kapuluan. Next slide. Ang mahalaga po sa ating karagatan, ang Pilipinas kasi po, one of the countries with people with the highest dependence on marine ecosystem. So, mahalaga po sabi ng ating mga mangingisdang representatibo dito, ito po ay mahalaga sa buhay at kabuhayan ng ating mga, hindi lang mga taong nanirahan sa ating babayan, kundi sa ating lahat. Next slide, please. Our dump and fill reclamation campaign is actually a campaign that we started way back in, wala pa ako sa Oceana noon. Pero nung pumasok ako ng 2021, the campaign was still ongoing, and ito ay naging campaign ko, which I led for the last 2 years. Next slide, please. So, nung pumasok po ako, nag-FOI po kami sa PRA para malaman kung ilan ba talaga ang reclamation projects all over the country. Kasi yung binabandera that time is build talaga. And yung build nga, nakita namin, ay ang maraming reclamation projects all over the country. So, nung time na yon, yung sagot nila sa amin, there were about 187 reclamation projects applied for, ongoing, and there were a lot of illegal reclamations na unreported at hindi nila na-monitor ng maigi. Yun yung admitted by the PRA sa amin. Pero on record, 187 reclamation projects ang applied during that time. Next slide. So ito po, Manila Bay. We focus on Manila Bay in our campaign for illegal dump and fill. Kasi ito naman yung talagang mahalaga sa atin, sa ating lahat bilang isang bansa na seafaring nation. Manila Bay is historical, cultural values as well as biophysical values for everyone. So next slide. So paano po namin tinignan? In our approach sa legal po, tinitingnan namin yung legal framework. Alam namin ang dump and fill projects are considered as environmentally critical projects. So ito po ay nakasaad sa ating batas sa Environmental Impact Assessment Law. Next slide. Another classification of projects under our law are projects in environmentally critical areas. Kung itong proyekto po ay pinapatupad sa ating mga mangroves, coral reefs, sa ating mga protected areas, ito po ay tinatawag na environmentally critical areas. So both are environmentally critical. So dapat dumaan po siya sa matinding proseso before siya ma-approve. Next slide. So, pero nakita natin, when you look at the different legal framework, yun po yung mahirap sa atin. Marami tayong batas, hindi natin na-implement, na-enforce talaga. And maraming talagang hindi na-harmonize yung mga batas natin. Kasi sinasabi sa ibang mga batas natin, ito ay illegal. Kung aquatic pollution ay dinidefine under the amended Fisheries Code is an act which changes the biophysical characteristics of our waters, na nakakasira siya, ito ay aquatic pollution na. Ito ay criminal na act already. Prohibited siya. Dapat may penalty. Pero bakit hindi siya tinatawag aquatic pollution pag nagre-reclaim tayo? Yun po yung mahirap sa ating mga batas kasi marami siyang hindi. Pero tingnan namin yung lahat ng mga batas na may kinalaman sa reclamation projects at alam namin na violate ito sa ating mga nagpropose nito. Next slide please. Ito pa. And then, but binalikan namin yung talagang sino ba talaga ang may primary responsibility over these areas. Yung local government units kasi binigyan na sila ng primary responsibility. Shared yung responsibility nila with the national government because of devolution na kailangan they are tasked to maintain and manage the ecological balance of their territory, yung territorial jurisdiction nila. Next slide, please. Pero nung nakita natin, binalikan natin yung Manila Bay, this is based on the latest data that we gathered. Sabi doon, at least 30 reclamation projects galing sa Inquirer ko na nakita namin. And 21 of these projects have already secured their environmental compliance certificate. Meaning, binigyan na sila ng permit ng DNR para mag-proceed. So, next slide please. So, ito po yung latest na nakita namin na data. Ito yung data namin sa nakaraan nung nagsimula kami. Nung una, 23 yung nakita namin projects. So, makita niyo po, iba-iba kasi yung numero na lumalabas din sa ating Philippine Reclamation Authority. Pag nagtatanong ka ngayon, sa pagka-next time, iba na naman ang lumalabas. Medyo nakakagulo din kami minsan dahil dyan. So, ito, 23 yung muna, yung before we filed the case. Next slide. So, I talk about the case. Ito po yung Bulacan at Aerotropolis. Ito po yung kaso na pinagsimulan namin na para ma-push yung konsepto na hindi natin dapat hayaan na mag-reclaim lang ng basta-basta, lalo na sa isang ecologically sensitive area doon sa Bulacan. So, pinakita na nga ng Wild Bird Club Philippines, yung ano yung mga resources na nakikita doon. At reported na rin yung ilang mangroves ang naputol that time. Pero nagsisimula na sila. Kaso lang, yung mga dokumentong pinakita nila sa amin, silver tides yung na-issuean ng ECC, hindi talaga, yun ang ginamit ng SMC later on na sinabi, ito yung meron naman kaming permit. So, medyo magulo, hindi transparent yung proseso. Kaya, nung nakita namin ito, 2,005 hectares ang maapektuhan ng proyekto ito. Next slide, please. At alam namin kung matabunan ang areas na ito yung mga irreversible impacts. Lalo na sa Bulacan, we needed about 20 million dump trucks of filling materials para lang mabuo yung proyekto ngayon, yung 2,500 hectares Aero City na yun. It's equivalent to 1,566 chocolate hills. So, ganun kadami kailangan din natin materials para ma-reclaim yung area na yun. Next slide. Pero nakita natin din, base sa pag-aaral ng DFAR, malusog at mayaman sa fisheries resources, lalo na sa isda, ang ating Manila Bay. Ito yung ginawa nilang troll study in 2015 na nakikita yung fish biomass ng ating mga isda doon sa demersal fishes dyan sa Manila Bay. Next slide. Sabi ng kanilang pag-aaral mismo ng DFAR na may high concentrations of fish eggs and larvae, especially in the eastern portion of Manila Bay. Ito, nagsasabi, important spawning grounds to ng ating mga isda at breeding grounds ng sardines at iba't ibang mga klaseng isda pa. Next slide. Ito po yung mga klaseng isda na pinakita based on the literature na makikita natin. Oceana, kasi meron din isang projects na nagbuo din kami ng National Sardine Management Plan at nakita natin some of the species of sardines can be found only in Manila Bay, aside from the areas cited there, Quezon, Sapar, and Sorsogon. Next slide. Ito rin, alam naman natin, mga taga-Cavite, nandito, yung pagtatahong po ay isang malaking industriya, lalo na sa ating maliliit na mga isda. Next slide. Pero nakita natin, ito yung threat na nangyari, displacement ng fisherfolks, pinaalis sila, may threat sila sa kanilang personal security din, and other than health, education and other threats na na-experience sila. So next slide. So nag-file kami ng petition for writ of kalikasan noong 2020, pero sa awa ng Diyos, after 15 days or na-dismiss ng Supreme Court ang aming kaso. Barely, was really the fastest decision I've seen in my life. No? Dumaan pa ng Christmas holiday, pero yun nga, when we sought for a petition for issuance of a writ of kalikasan, we wanted to really stop the project. And based on the findings na meron talaga nangyayaring masamang epekto, yung nagsisimula na sila ng mga works nila that time, so kaya dumulog kami sa Supreme Court. Pero yun nga, yung next slide, yung sabi ng, ito pa pala, right after we filed the case, narinig namin na binigyan ng prangkisa ang San Miguel para sa pag-operate ng Bulacan Airport. So, it was really a surprise, but we weren't surprised also kasi alam naman natin na malakas talaga yung kalaban, yung nagpo-propose ito. Next slide. So, after 15 days, our petition was dismissed, and it was the Chief Justice himself who announced and confirmed that they dismissed this petition, and they said that it was unanimous due to insufficiency in form and substance. Pero if makita niyo po yung petition namin, kasama ang some of this, yung mga scientifico natin, mga experts, maraming talaga tayong evidensyang binigay. Pero yun nga, when we filed a motion for reconsideration, hindi rin dininig yung motion for reconsideration namin. So, final dismissal, talo. So yun, setback namin yun. Noong 2021. Ito po yung 5-pager, part ng 5-pager na part ng decision na sinend nila sa amin. Sabi nila kasi, the mere signing ng agreement between the private corporation and public does not by itself present an environmental damage. So, yun po yung sinasabi nila na parang
sinasabi premature, hindi pa kasi nagsaside. Pero yung nga, sinasabi namin, that time, meron ng mga mangroves na napuputol, wala pa silang ECC, yung ginagamit nilang ECC, silver tides, hindi naman yung ECC talaga ng para sa proyektong yun. So anyway, hindi yun pinakinggan, unfortunately. Next slide. And tama nga, yung sinabi namin at that time, nung June, right after the dismissal, nakita namin, nag-issue na ng ECC for the Bulacan Airport to SMC ang DNR. So yung nga, yung point out talaga namin na hindi talaga ECC ng SMC nung time na yon, yung pinipresenta nila was totoo, di ba? So we were proven right. But anyway, nabigyan sila talaga ng ECC by June 2021. So after nun, next slide. Marami ng reports pong dumating sa amin about seabed quarrying. Marami na nag-complain, mga fisher folks from Bataan, sabi nila, bakit may malalaking barko dito na hindi na kami nakakapagpangisda, yung lumalabo na yung tubig nila. Yun nga, so kung naggawa kami ng colloquium, kasama namin yung NAST, National Academy of Science and Technology, para pag-usapan natin ano ba yung epekto ng seabed quarrying at ano ang connection nito sa mga reclamation projects na nangyayari sa Manila Bay. Next slide. So, nakita natin ito yung mga boats and yung pagka-quarry talaga, meron talagang epekto sa ating mga karagatan, lalo't-lalo na dyan sa Manila Bay. So, gumagamit sila ng hydraulic dredgers na nagtitrigger ng water pollution and of course, unintentional removal na nakukuha lahat yung nasa seabed natin, na lahat ng marine organisms. Next slide, please. Ito yung basis namin for really calling out the government. Kasi alam natin sa Constitution, malakas ang ating basehan para sa pagbibigay ng preferential treatment sa ating mga maliliit na mangingisda, subsistence fishermen, especially local communities, in the use of our natural resources, especially our fisheries and marine resources. So, parang ito, Pilipinas ay isa lang sa mga very, very few nations in the world na merong ganitong provision sa Constitution mismo na nagbibigay ng prioridad sa ating mga maliliit na mangingisda. It's a right for them to be protected by the state. Next slide. But tingnan natin yung seabed quarrying din. Ang nangyayari kasi, meron din tayong isang doctrine sa ating bansa na tinatawag na Regalian Doctrine. Lahat ng ating natural resources are owned by the state. So lahat ng paggagamit, pag-export, pag-utilize ng natural resources is utilitarian in nature kasi tayo, ay under the full control and supervision ng ating state. So sila ang magde-decide, sila ang magbibigay ng permit kung paano sila gamitin yung atong mga natural resources, including our mineral resources, yung mga nasa seabed na kinakwari nila. Next slide po. Tinignan din namin yung IRR, Implementing Rules ng ating Mining Act na basis ng seabed quarrying, na kailangan, kung may offshore exploration, kailangan in line, in accordance with our obligations under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, na dapat it will not adversely affect safety of navigation at sea. So yung mga mangingisda siguro, hindi dapat silang hinayaan na magkakaroon ng peligro sa kanilang pagpapangisda kung dumadaan itong mga dredgers na sinasabi. At dapat, it will ensure accommodation with other marine activities such as fishing, ecotourism, etc. Pero hindi nangyayari yon kasi sila ang naghahari sa dagat, di ba? And so, another provision that we saw there is local government units must also ensure that laws will not be violated. So, kailangan may public notice, may public consultation, and public participation sa pag-decide whether or not i-allow ba yung seabed quarrying sa kanilang municipal waters. Next slide. Ito rin, i-point out ko lang to kasi sinasabi kasi kailangan may clearance ng other government agencies para i-allow ang seabed quarrying and reclamation. Every time we talk to the BFAR, I think sinasabi to ni Kapando na sinasabi ng BFAR, wala kaming clearance na binibigay para i-allow yung seabed quarrying, para i-allow yung reclamation dyan. Bakit nangyayari? Bakit nabibigyan pa rin sila ng ECC? Bakit pinapatuloy pa rin, nabibigyan pa rin sila ng quarry permit? So, yun ang malaking katanungan po na
kailangan natin tanungin sa ating gobyerno. Next slide. At meron pong proof niyan. And ito yung memorandum circular din on the guidelines on offshore mining. I-point out ko lang, maraming guidelines. Hindi sila pwedeng gumamit ng high pressure water jets in the extraction of seabed minerals. So, kailangan din suriin ano ba yung mga klaseng aktibidades ng Boscalis ng dyan sa Manila Bay na nagumagamit ng mga dredgers na yan para mag-suction ng mga seabed quarry materials. Kasi maraming guidelines so baka nilalabag nila. At ito yung hinihingi natin sa DNR na dapat i-monitor nila closely ang mga activities na to. Kasi sila mismo ang sumulat ng guidelines. Dapat sila mismo ang mag-enforce nito. Next slide. So, finally, ito na lang po. Compliance with environmental. Alam naman natin, Manila Bay is famous kasi may mandamos dyan, no? 2008, nag-issue ng mandamos, continuing mandamos ng Supreme Court. Sabi, kailangan i-clean up ang Manila Bay. So, tingnan natin po yung some of the parts of the decision. Next slide. Sabi dito, actually, ang lahat ng government agencies dyan sa Manila Bay are mandated to clean up and rehabilitate Manila Bay. So, restore the waters to its SB clarification to make it fit for swimming, skin diving, and other form of contact recreation. At isa rin, sinasabi sa decision, the DNR should be the lead agency in cleaning up Manila Bay. So, kung sila ang lead agency for the cleanup, kailangan din nila i-fully implement ang operational plan nila for the rehabilitation, restoration, and conservation of Manila Bay. But what is happening to Manila Bay and what are the actions of DNR right now? Taliwala po to sa kanilang instruction na binigay sa kanila ng Korte Suprema sa desisyon na yun. So yun lang po, I'd like to end there. Maraming salamat po. Ito po.
Ng San Miguel Corporation, yung ano ba tawag dyan? From sa Congress and Senate, yung franchise, no? Na 50 years. December, sign na permahan ng dating Pangulo. At pagpasok ng 2021, ay nagsimula na, no? Yung dredging and reclamation sa Manila Bay. Mula noon, 2 taon na nakalipas, napakatindi na, no? Ng epekto sa buhay at kabuhayan ng mga mangingisda sa lahat, no, sa palibot ng Manila Bay. Pero ang pinakamalaking tinamaan talaga na nawala na ng kabuhayan at na-dislocate na, no, at nakaranas ng mga mararahas na dislokasyon at militarization. Doon sa San Miguel, ano, yung 2,500 hektarya na tatayuan ng Manila International, New Manila International Airport, yung Aerotropolis ng San Miguel Corporation, na joint project, ano, ng DOTR. At yung dito, no, sa bahagi na ongoing, na halos sumabay din, dito sa may Pasay City Harbor Reclamation Project, at saka itong Prime SM, no, Reclamation, tuloy-tuloy na yan. Wala na talaga, wala nang mahuli yung mga mangingisda dyan, kaya ang hirap na ng buhay nila dyan. Noong unang operation niyan, maraming namatay na isda, no? Noong unang operation ng dredging and reclamation. Hindi lang na-i-news, hindi na cover ng ating mga kaibigan sa media. Pero simula doon, kasi ang Manila Bay bago, no? Bago yung reclamation na yan, hindi po totoo, no? Hindi po totoo yung sinasabi ng Manila Bay ay patay na, no? Tulad ng pinag-aan mo yun, na mayroong irresponsibly na nagpahayag na isang local government, tayo pangalanan kung sino, at sinasabi na ang Manila Bay ay patay na. Buhay na buhay po ang Manila Bay, no? Katunayan, matatanda natin yan, noong 2016, na magsimula ang administrasyon ni Duterte doon sa panlilin lang sa programa ng Manila Bay Rehabilitation, ay sinabi nila na buhay na buhay pa talaga. At totoo, buhay na buhay. No? Maraming umaasa ang buhay dyan, mga mangisda, at mga manininda. Maraming klaseng isda dyan, no? Kahit sa mga palibot ng Manila Bay, sa mga gilid. Kasi spawning area talaga yung Manila Bay. Kung pupunta tayo dyan sa bulan doon, nung wala pa yung reclamation and dredging, talagang the whole year, napakayaman ng pangisdaan. Kaya ang panawagan ng Pamalakayang Pilipinas, pinapanindigan namin, ang Manila Bay ay hindi patay, kundi pinapatay ng dredging and reclamation. No? Ang Manila Bay ay hindi patay, pinapatay ng dredging at reclamation ng mga kapitalista, no, at mga politiko na mayroong application ng reclamation sa Manila Bay. Kaya nanawagan tayo sa ating mga kababayan ng tulong, no, in support para mapahinto natin yung mapanira o irreversible nga, no, yung impact ng reclamation sa Manila Bay. And sa kagyat, patigil yung seabed dredging at yung reclamation. Ilang ba na siguro? Balik, magandang umaga sa atin lahat.
Salamat Kapando. Bago dating yung kasama natin mula sa Cavite, pahingahin ko muna. Dediretso na muna ako kay Tingay, Cristina Cinco mula sa Walbert Club of the Philippines. Just so, para magbigay ng kanilang pagtingin. Diyan ka na lang? Okay lang. Ayun dito. Okay. Sige. So, si Tingay po ay kasama sa team ng Walbert Club na bibilang nagbibilang at taga-aral ng mga migratory birds dito at ipapaliwanag niya bakit mahalaga ito sa Manila Bay at sa mga tao.
Okay, ready na ba kayo mag-bird watching? Kasi dadalhin ko kayo sa mga birding sites ng Manila Bay. Nag-attend ako ng writers workshop ng Oceana 2 weeks ago. And then, bago dito, meron na akong naisulat na isang essay. Umpisahan natin dito. Ito yung description ng isang lugar na nire-reclaim ngayon para sa airport. Okay, let their songs be heard. Early morning light had overtaken the dimness of dawn in Obando along Manila Bay. The sea breeze was cool and crisp. The water was calm. From a distance, we could see the chapel and the ruins of the seawalls. As we approached Torres Island, minutes before sunrise, more than 1,000 whiskered terns welcomed us with their songs. They dived into the water to feed and fish, then took off to join the rest of the flock. It was a delightful performance by the seabirds in January, an awesome sight for a bird watcher. It seemed a most auspicious sign of a good birding day. Now, maswerte kayo kasi good birding day tayo. Okay, next slide. Okay, birding facts. As of 2022, we have 725 species of birds in the Philippines. 255 endemics, meaning only found here in our country and nowhere else in the world. 278 migrants and 205 residents, meaning you can find the birds here and in other parts of Asia. Next slide, please. So, okay, this is how Manila Bay looks like. And this is where the highest congregations of water birds are. So we start from Bataan, Pampanga, Bulacan, NCR, which is Metro Manila, and Cavite. If you notice, I've been to all these places already on a boat, so maybe it's a secret place in my heart, no, to be in these places. Actually, from Cavite, you can see Bataan. From Bulacan, you can see Bataan. From Pampanga, likewise, and across the river, Bulacan and Pampanga are almost one. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the common notion that most of the people have here in Manila. Manila Bay is just Ross Boulevard, and of course, diba, you can see in television or in online that everybody's enjoying to have their picture taken at the Dolomite Beach. Okay, next slide, please. Now I will take you bird watching from Bataan to Cavite. Next slide. Okay, who among you have been experienced sunrise? Probably not, because most of you just sleep at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. But we do bird watch. We wake up at like almost midnight, close to midnight, and we make sure that at the burst of sunrise, we are already in Manila Bay. So this is sunrise over Pamarawan in Malolos, Bulacan, and you see hundreds of black crown night heroes crisscrossing across the bay. And of course, we also have the sunset. They look similar, but actually, even the camera cannot capture this wondrous sight of nature. And then you have the little ring plover. They're tiny, they're only this small. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, we'll start from Bataan. This is the Tanato River by Pilar, Balanga, Bataan. They are dredging this area also because of flooding. I don't know if it's the right decision, but they are dredging the side of Pilar. So Balanga, which is in the opposite bank, will be flood-free. I doubt it. But there you can find the lesser sand plover. Now I'm trying to show the 16 species that are that will qualify for Manila Bay to be a protected, international protected site, which we don't understand as birders up to now. They haven't done so. I've been in this project for 6 years. We've been doing surveys religiously, annually, but we don't hear anything. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I hope you see the tiny dots. The tiny dots there, and this is in Sasmuan by the Pampanga River, in Pampanga, of course. Now, they can count as much as 25,000 terns, whiskered terns, and over 28,000 black-headed gulls in a single day. So, if you wonder how we do that, we group them by circles, okay? Kasi nagpo-bird watching that, nagsa-circle tayo dyan, no? And then you count the circle, how many birds in one circle. For example, it's 100. You multiply it across the horizon. You multiply it by rows, and that's how you get like 28,000. And that is just for a single day. And just for information, we hold 20% of the black-headed gulls in a single day in the East Asian Oscillation Flyway, which is 20% of their total population in the area. Next slide, please. Okay, these are the kumbaga magnified version of what you can see in Pampanga River. The Caspian terns. The name itself, Caspian. Galing siya sa bandang mga Iran, ganyan, ano? Caspian Sea. Little terns, same thing. They come from Alaska, Siberia. Black-headed gulls, which I mentioned earlier, counts to about 28,000. And the whiskered terns. I think they're 20% also of the population in the entire East Asian Oscillation Flyway. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the most controversial part. Santa Cruz, Paambong, Bulacan is very adjacent to where the airport is going to be built. And these are what you're gonna see. Before, my dream was to go to Olongo Island in Cebu just to see the Asian dowager. Not anymore. They're now in Bulacan. I don't know why they're there, but they're there. Far Eastern curlew, endangered. There is a constant population of about 30 in a flock, so maybe they're a family that we've been constantly seeing for the past 6 years until I stopped in 2022 because of the COVID pandemic. But they're constant at 30, 33. So 6 years they've been there, and they said that some of my other team members said that they were there as early as 2004. So maybe that's how we gauge the number of years. And you have the great knot, which is also endangered, no? And it's found in this area. So sabihin nyo, ilog yan, hindi, papunta yan sa Manila Bay. So hindi mo naman pwedeng tigilin ng ilog, no? Na hindi lumabas sa Manila Bay. Next slide, please. So from Bataan to Pampanga, Bulacan, now we're in NCR, National Capital Region. And this is Tansa, Navotas. Navotas lang, dyan lang. So what they plan is to build a road from Tansa to Obando, and that's where the airport is. Actually, you can cross a tiny river. You can walk through it maybe at low tide, and you're there. It's just from here to there. You know, that's the distance. Just to give you an idea. Of course, we have the Chinese egret. It's endangered. The population is less than 2,000, no? And then, of course, you have the pied avocet, though it is not endangered, but it's a very beautiful and graceful bird, you know, when you see it in flight. And then we have our star bird for this year. It's called the Eurasian oyster catcher. Before, it was last seen, is it correct, in Nauca, which is in Negros or Negros Occidental. How it came to Navotas, we have no idea. Probably because of climate change. And it's also endangered. So you see, as the years go on, we have so many indicators that can help stop this reclamation thing. But of course, that is something that we have to look forward to. Next slide are still birds that you can find in Navotas. Redneck skip is also near threatened because to tell the story of this redneck skip, they breed in the tundras of Russia, Russia, no? During the summer months, and they stop over during maybe January, you know, it starts from November to January. So the flight itself, it's only a small bird, it's about this big. And these are the feeding grounds, no? The Philippines is one of them. Next slide, please. And then we have the black-faced spoonbill. Now, I was witness to the black-faced spoonbill in 2021. You know, when you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're sort of like dazed by the time it's lunchtime. But lo and behold, by lunchtime, we saw 24 of this. The total population of the black-faced spoonbill is about 2,000. So you see, we have like 1%, am I correct, of its total population. And now you can even see it in several areas, not only in Bulacan, no? And this is the flagship bird for conservation, one of the flagship birds of the East Asian Oscillation Flight Zone. So you see, we have birds that are supposed to be protected, who's losing habitats because of all this dredging and reclamation. It's worth fighting for. Next slide, please. So we're now in Las Piñas, Parañaque Wetland Park, which is a Ramsar site. So far, it is the only Ramsar site that is internationally protected. No, we have 5 provinces. Only this one is a protected area. The Wild Bird Club under Mike had an influence in declaring this a site for conservation because of our bird list. And even now, we are trying and fighting hard because we have the historical bird list of the Bulacan area, the northern Manila Bay, no? So, how do you use the bird list? They will check if the birds are still there or it's little by little disappearing because of all this construction work. Next slide, please. Okay, I said I was in the wrong area. I was always in Bulacan for the past 6 years. But you see, Cavite is getting worse. It's so near, and yet it's going to disappear very fast. because of all this reclamation. If you know Covlandia, diba, it's going to be turned into a barangay of pogo workers. So that's one of the our main concerns. What should be protected in the area? It's the Philippine duck. It's vulnerable. It is our only duck species that's endemic in the Philippines. And of course, the Pacific golden plover can be seen there, and we hold like 24% of the population. Manila Bay lang yon ha, 20% of the population of the entire East Asian Australasian Flyway, which holds like 200,000. It has 200,000 birds during the migration season, and it passes through the Philippines. Half of that stays here for a stop and for feeding. Next slide, please. So these egrets are also part, no? Kasi nga, we look at Manila Bay as one contiguous area. It's not Bulacan, it's not Pampanga, but Manila Bay in its entirety. And these birds, its population is more than at least 1%. But the great egret and the intermediate egret, 20% of the migrating population passes through the Philippines. So it's worth protecting, no? So all the birds I've shown you are part of the 16 species that needs protection, no? That will help make Manila Bay into a wetlands of international importance. Next slide, please. So okay, we have all these treaties, all these conventions. It's up to government to implement. We are signatories to this, and we are obliged, no? Government is obliged to protect all these species. We have Ramsar, which protects the wetlands. It's because it's not only our birds who feeds on them, no? Birds that are migratory from Northern Asia that goes to Australia will be protected by this. And then of course the Convention on Migratory Species and our very own Wildlife Act, no, 9147. Pag nakikita niyo may nagbebenta ng lawing sa highway ng Tagaytay, sabihin niyo, Republic Act 9147, kulong ka ng 6 months. Because that's the law that will protect wildlife. And the Supreme Court has a mandamus of 2008, which it's the obligation of everyone. No, it's the duty of everyone to protect Manila Bay. Next slide, please. So we conclude our bird watching with this, with a quote again from the essay anthology that was part of the book that we did for our school. As the team disembarked at the fish port in Malolos that day, the bright yellow-orange sun was slowly setting. Hundreds of plovers flew by on their way to their roosting grounds. We could hear the squeals of white egrets by the thousands as they perched on the trees along the riverbank. Looking towards the horizon, I felt grateful for another day of fruitful work. This reluctant volunteer has evolved into a nature warrior, advocating the rights of these avian treasures to sing and fly free. Thank you. Maraming salamat po from the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines.
Salamat. Galing. So, mula sa mga ibon, tignan natin ang mga tao, no? Na nasa paligid ng Manila Bay, na apektado nitong mga proyektong ito. Tinatawagan ko si Gloria Estenzo. Siya po ay isa sa mga nanay, ate, tiya, pinsan, kaibigan, kapatid na babae na apektado ng reklamasyon ng seabed quarrying sa Manila Bay.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataon na binigay niyo po kami ng pagkakataon na malaman niyo po yung paghihirap po namin bilang mamamayan po sa Cavite dahil po sa napektuhan po dyan sa pag-dredging po ng barko, parte rin po ng Manila Bay. So, sa ngayon po kasi, di na po namin maano yung pinsala na dulot po ng barko na paghuhukay dahil po wala na po mahuhuli ang mga mangingisda po. Almost 2 years na ang paghihirap po namin. Dati po kasi okay lang kami kahit po bagamat mangingisda lang po ang aming pamumuhay, panghanap buhay. Nakakaraos kami kahit papaano. So sa ngayon po talaga pong mahirap po, kung sa mahirap po talaga. Dahil po wala na po hinuhuli, araw-gabi na po yung lakot ng mga isda namin, wala po sila nahuhuli, lagi po kaming lugi. Pagka lagi na lang po kami nangungutang, hindi naman po pwedeng laging utang na lang na walang ibabayad. Dahil katwiran po namin, dahil po dyan sa mga barko na naghuhukay, wala pong mahuli ang mga isda po namin. Dahil sa laki po ng naapektuhan na mga bahura, mga tinanim po ng mga, yung mga corals po ng municipality po namin na nahigo po yun ng barko. Kahit yung mga similya pa lang, may mga tahong kami, halakan, kung anong mga klaseng shell na alternatibo namin panghanap buhay kung wala pong huli sa gabi, walang isda, walang alimasag. Ngayon po talaga, totally wala na po. So, napakalaki pong perwisyo ang dulot po ng barkong pagdidredging po doon sa party po namin. Kaya, yun po yung pinapabot namin na kung maaari po sana, ipatigil na dahil po talagang nakakaawa na po yung mamamayang isda at ang pamilya po na isa rin po na naapektuhan po. Paano naman po kasi yung aming mga estudyante, nagpapagatas kami, yung araw-araw namin gastusin, hindi na po ma-afford namin. Kaya po, napakalaking permisyo po yung dulot ng pagdidredging na po ng mga barko na yan. Kaya kung pwede po itigil na at na po ng Manila Bay, wala na po kaming makikitang maganda na kagaya dati po. At saka nagiging parte po yan ang buhay namin dahil yan po kami nakakapag ng hanap buhay. Dahil po sa mga nakukuhang isda, kung ano-ano pa man po nagaling po na nahuhuli po sa dagat. Kaya kung maaari po sana, may patigil na po yung pagdidredging po sa amin. Thank you po.
Salamat Mia. So si Mia Catenza po mula sa Cavite. Okay. So, can we proceed with Kelvin first with his input before we proceed with the open forum? Okay, so I'd like to introduce Dr. Kelvin Rodolfo to share his study and thoughts about this problem.
Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
Can you? Okay lang, sir. Sa TV. Wala.
Is that better? I will try to keep it far clear from my mouth, so I won't rupture the eardrums of the poor media in attendance. No? Okay, let's begin. Could you have could I have my first slide? Okay, about 2 months ago, I was asked to participate in a forum by the Philippine Institute of Environmental Planners for architects, and it turned out that what they really wanted to do was to justify reclamation as environmentally sound. And so I started with this slide. Go ahead. Oh, no. Sorry, I'll go back. So basically what I said was, what was never spoken or never mentioned during that meeting was a very important item, and that is that the key is the figure 200,000 pesos per square meter. That's about $5,000 per square meter. And you rarely hear that sound, but that is the motivator. Now, that is like sheer gold. You can make gold by reclaiming. So geology naman, meron kaming mineral na tawag na pyrite with the common name of fool's gold. Reclamation gold is really fool's gold. It looks like, pyrite looks like gold, pero pag pinupok mo siya, magsha-shatter siya. Hindi siya, it's not malleable like true gold is. And that is the warning that I have for people. Very small concern. If you think Manila traffic is bad now, can you imagine what it's going to be like when you increase the area of Metro Manila? It's going to be almost unlivable. But that's a minor concern. Let's the next slide. So there are several issues that we have to talk about here, no? Pinakauna, sumusubsub po yung mga lupa sa tabing dagat. Because of that, lalala ang flooding at papasok ng mga high tide. Pangalawa, mga storm surge. Medyo alam na natin kung anong storm surge dahil naranasan natin ang Yolanda noong 2013 ano ba? Pangatlo at malagang pinag-importante ay yung mga reclaimed areas at pati mga medyo natural na lupa sa dalamdahigan very susceptible to liquefaction, and I will try to explain what that means. I anticipated way back in 2014 that this would be a serious issue, and I wanted people to understand the science behind the dangers that face reclaimed areas. That paper is readily available, and in that I wrote it so that regular people, not scientists, but regular people can understand. And I also invited commentary and debate on the part of the proponents for reclamation. I got nothing, and that paper never existed. Much of what I talk about here was discussed in that paper. It was peer-reviewed, meaning it went through the scientific process of evaluation as to whether it's true or not. And I have received no contrary opinions based on fact, based on science. Next please. I would like to show this picture because it tells us something about what is going on. These pictures show satellite photos taken by the U.S. Geological Survey in 1988 compared to the same area taken by satellite in 2004. Thank you. My eyesight is, forgive me, my eyesight is not very good these days. Now you'll notice, among other things, the arrow is pointing to an area that you can see has measuring sunk over that period. And it has continued to sink simply because so much groundwater is being pumped out of the ground, especially around Bulacan where fish ponds, the water of fish ponds has to be renewed. Dahil bali naranasan habang tumatagal, kailangan palitan. Tinatapon nila yung tubig ng mga fish pond at pinapalitan ng tubig galing sa poso. Hit it again. I just put that there so that you can see yung, what the proposed Bulacan Airport is, where it's situated in that respect. Next, please. Okay. That airport is such a stupid idea. I cannot imagine how people would even think of that. Merong counterpart na ginawa ng mga Hapon sa Kansai, the Kansai Airport, and it experienced so much subsidence that they had to pump billions and billions of yen or dollars in order to counteract the effects. And if you like, I can share with you an analysis of what happened there. Now, one of the things that happens is, hindi po maiwasan ito. If you reclaim, you are blocking the outflow of both floodwaters and high tides. And that is very simple. Anybody can understand that. That's one of the immediate effects that will happen at that airport. And you can extend that concept to the rest of the bay. Next week. These are data that were taken from satellites and processed by Narodeco, who is the guy in the dark shirt sitting over there hitting the next button for me. You can see that the blue are areas that are rising, and the yellows and the reds are areas that are sinking. Now, the blue is because the entire area is being lifted by geological forces, the entire area, which means that the change in elevation or the sinking is actually larger. You have to consider that kung yung buong lugar tumataas, ibig sabihin nun, that elevation is being counteracted, more than counteracted by the sinking that is caused by ground level, by groundwater extraction. And you can also now this. So this is explain why what's going on. Yeah. So from about about 1900, when the newly occupying Americans started to take back to sea level elevations at Manila South Harbor. Very slowly, from about 1900 to about 1960, next week, you can see that there was a very slow rise, about 2 millimeters per year. Yun po ang globe dahil sa sea level rise, dahil sa natutulang yung mga yellow sa polar ice caps. So that is global, the 2 millimeters per year. But then something happened. Next please. Next please. So it started rising 10 times faster. Ang hindi pa na, karamihan hindi na-engineer na it is true that global sea level rise, global warming is causing the sea level to rise, but that the apparent rise in sea level at Manila South Harbor is 10 times faster, not because the sea level is rising, but because the land is sinking. So that, and you can see that it correlates very nicely with the use of groundwater. Yeah. So one more. I think this continues to rise, and if we can hit it again, one more please. Hit again, please. This is in 2004. The use of groundwater is not slowing down, it's accelerating. So we extend that to our present time, 2023. You know that it has continued and continues to be a major problem. If you have more land caused by reclamation, people will need more water, and so this will, if anything, be accelerated by land reclamation. Thank you. about storm surges and waves. Alam na natin na we were all acquainted with storm surges by Yolanda in 2013. Ano ba? This is what hindi naman na-use. So storm surges are most dangerous if the nearshore seafloor slopes gently, then it slopes more steeply. And in the case of Manila Bay, the shallow underwater seafloor is gentle, and so you can expect that storm surges hitting Manila Bay will have a greater effect. Play the video. This was Typhoon Petri in September 2011. Yun po ang nagwasak ng Rojas Boulevard. It's also the same thing that inundated the U.S. Embassy for several months afterwards. Now, what you're seeing here, this is not the storm surge. Ang nakikita po nyo ay mga alon ng bagyo sumasakay sa taas ng surge. So, the storm surge was about 4.5 meters, and sumasakay sa tugtog noon yung mga alon. Next one, please. We can expect such things to happen even more because it is a scientific fact that global warming and climate change is causing fewer typhoons but more strong typhoons. Overall, fewer typhoons but more stronger typhoons. And so you can expect things like this to happen more and more often. Next one. Now, it has been known for a long time that the Manila Bay is not really a safe harbor during typhoons. The U.S. Navy and the commercial fishing, shipping organizations have known that for a long time. And so these are what hit the next one. This was Typhoon Patsy in November 1970, and you can see a seagoing vessel was lifted up at pinarada sa Rojas. Sa ilalim naman, ang Typhoon Ora nung ay nakaparako. Noong 1972. At ganoon din, seagoing vessels were lifted very simply and just parked on top of Rojas Boulevard. Next week. This is Tacloban in November 2013, and you can see the same thing was happening in Tacloban. Huge seagoing ships were lifted and parked on land. Next week. There has been an excellent study by Project NOAA that shows the extent of how far inland the storm surges can go and how deep they are. And these are scientific data that are not answered by land reclaimers, because these are inconvenient truths. It's inconvenient for them in their chase of those 200,000 pesos per square meter. So you can see na umaabot ng mahigit 5 metro ang kalalim ng tubig kapag may storm surge, at pumapasok ng mahigit mga 2 kilometers. So, and these again are scientific facts. You cannot get away from. Next please. Next please. So, historical records these are not predicted, these are historical records, and it's going to get worse. Storm surges on the order of 4 meters and above have historically hit the head of Manila Bay. Perhaps the worst thing that we have to contend with is liquefaction during earthquake. But before that, I want to show you something that happens during earthquake when the land is shaken. This was taken in 2013 in Talisay during the which earthquake? The Ford earthquake. This is like a small experimental laboratory demonstrating what happens when you shake a body of water. On a large scale, this would happen if you had the anticipated 7.2 earthquake that is anticipated by FISHERFOLK and has been written up very clearly. 7.2 will generate serious what they call sessions or standing waves. So every 5 seconds, you see the surge is the seismic waves coming in every 5 seconds. And that depends on kung gaano kalalim yung tubig, kung gaano kalawak yung body of water. So let's do the next one, please. This is a picture of Laguna Lake, and you know that sessions will happen there. And people do not even talk about this. And this will affect not only reclaimed land, but also existing shores of Laguna Divide. Let's next one, please. Back up one. You have to worry kung anong timing nito. Lalong mapanganib kung mangyayari sa gabi. Dahil nakatulog yung mga tao, hindi nakahanda. So you're lying in your bed, and then all of a sudden, without any warning, you get hit by seismic what do you call that? Session tawag. Oh, yan ang lawak ng body of water. Yung lalim niya, well, yung frequency kung anong time lapse between sessions is determined by the width of the bay of the body of water. In this case, between the West Shore and Mindanao, about 18 kilometers. Gravity, 9.8 centimeters per second, is the unchangeable acceleration due to gravity, and the average depth in our case is about 2.5 meters. So what happens is, if you do that simple equation, don't bother to do the math, I did it for you. These waves will come successively every 2 hours. So at the same time, people are struggling with shaking the buildings and all of the damage. Every 2 hours, may have a thing like that. It's a terrible thing that you have to worry about. FISHERFOLK has recognized that in a paper they wrote, but later, for some crazy reason, FISHERFOLK binabaliwala nila. Because I'm afraid that FISHERFOLK is a government organization that is held in thrall by commercial interests. We all know that, actually. Now, ito yung scenario kung mangyari itong 7.2 anticipated earthquake sa Metro Manila area. The red areas ay yung lakas ng naman ng tao on the Philippine earthquake intensity scale is about 9. And intensity 9 on this scale says, devastating. People are forcibly thrown to the ground. Most buildings are totally damaged. Bridges and elevated infrastructure are toppled or destroyed. Water, sewer pipes are bent, twisted, or broken. Landslides and liquefaction are widespread. Lalong-lalo pa sa mga coastal areas at lalong-lalo pa sa mga reclaimed land. Boulders are, the ground is distorted into undulations. Boulders are commonly thrown out. River water splashes violently or slops over dikes and banks. Again, you cannot say that hindi mababaliwala yun. And unfortunately, the land reclaimers do not want to address that issue. But I'm issuing it here next week. But the worst thing that happens is what we call liquefaction. During normal times na walang hindi YouTube, yung mga pirasong buhangin o graba sa ilalim, may tubig sa mga interstices, pagitan. So normally, the grains sit on top of each other, and the buildings are sitting on top of those, no? Pag nagkalin doon, nayuyug-yug. So those contacts are broken. The mixture of sand and pebbles and gravel is shaken violently, so that the whole thing becomes a slurry or a liquid like a liquid without strength. This only lasts typically mga isang minuto. The standard normal duration of an earthquake is about 1 minute. These are our videos of what happened during the Fukushima earthquake. The slurry of sand and water is coming out because the surface rocks and the soils are pushing down, and underneath there is sand that has been liquefied, so it's coming out like a liquid. And you can also see that gaps open and shut as the earthquake waves pass, allowing the slurries to come to the surface. May mga hapon na tumatawa, medyo sanay yata sila sa mga ganyan. That is a tank of water. The density of the tank filled with water is less than the density of the slurry. Kaya bali lumulutang siya. Another one, a sewer pipe lifted to the surface because it's floating in the liquefied material. Masyadong magandang pagkakuha ng video dahil siguro excited masyado yung We'll watch it to the end. Nagbibisikleta sanay talaga mga hapon sa mga nandun.
Ano siya, national chairperson. President. Halagyan talaga dito. Chairperson, pero president siya. Dalawa na lang.
You can read for yourself. Liquefaction happens worse in coastal areas and especially in reclaimed areas. Every time there is an earthquake in San Francisco, you will see that the greatest damage is on reclaimed land. Mula nung gold rush ng mga 1849 ba yun, they have been reclaiming land, and those are the areas most susceptible. Next, please. Next, please. This was a house that was liquefied and tilted and sunk in the October 1989 earthquake. Loma Prieta. Next, please. This is Niigata, Japan in 1964. Kung unevenly loaded yung gusali, siyempre magtitip siya. Now, this is the FISHERFOLK, an early FISHERFOLK paper about the areas most susceptible to liquefaction. And you can see that the moderate and severe liquefaction areas are mainly coastal. And if you build reclaimed land, kasama din sa mga, these will be some of the worst. Now, I think we should take advantage of what happened in the next week. On the 17th February 2018, William earthquake. Let's see what. I need say no more. Next week. Next week. Next week. That's the data next week. Now, there is a common misconception na ang pinakamasawang damage yung mangyayari sa fault mismo kung saan nag-originate yung earthquake. Hindi ko totoo yan. People think that the most serious damage will be along the West Marikina Valley Fault. But that's not necessarily true. Because in 1968, nagkaroon ng lindol sa kasiguran 180 kilometers to the north in Quezon. The most damaged buildings were on sediments of the deposits of the Pasig River. Ito yung six-story residential building na tumumba. 225 kilometers away. Okay. Now, again, the picture is the damage only happens near the epicenter, and that's farthest from the truth. You will all remember yung 1990 earthquake, the greatest damage was in Baguio, where the Hyatt collapsed, the floor is pancake, and also in Dagupan, about 100 kilometers away. And I studied that personally. And you can see the damage of buildings deposited on water saturated river deposits. One of the weirdest things that we saw when we were studying that earthquake, the effect of that earthquake, was sa mga gasolinahan, yung mga tangke na punong gasolina, lumutang at yung overlying na compressor ganyan pal ruptured and the gasoline tank came up and sat on the surface. Dahil sa a tank of gasoline is much lighter than the density of the liquefied land. So they floated with such force that they broke through the concrete and sat on the surface. And I think I'm done here. Next one. Ayan, tapos na po. Thank you.
Okay, salamat. So, last two, before we do the photo op and open forum, no?